we need to get into this amazing story, guys. I woke up on a Monday morning, just scrolled my feed, and I see, Tiana files. What are those? And I couldn't believe what was actually included in this. Marvin has a great article from that park place. Let's go ahead and load up right now. Leak notes reveal Disney bans voodoo, Splash Mountain, and frog transformation references for Tiana in theme parks. This is September 22nd, 2025.
I used this image because I felt like it looked like she was reading the files and she was annoyed.
It's very fitting, Marvin, very fitting indeed. It's becoming harder and harder to recognize Disney's own stories once they've gone through the corporate filter. The Princess and the Frog gave audiences a tale about a princess named Tiana, set in the heart of New Orleans, steeped in music, culture, and yes, voodoo. It was a story about trauma, transformation, and the dangers of making deals with dark powers. But according to leaked Disney Character Foundation materials for in-park performers shared by the X account Cynical Disney, almost every one of those themes has been rewritten, sanitized, or outright erased. Let me go ahead and go to Cynical Disney's post here. Breaking! Files from Disney's costuming department have been leaked regarding the Princess and the Frog and Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Some highlights include restrictions on Facilier's movie costume, Tiana not allowed to refer to her time as a frog, censorship of any mentions of voodoo, hoodoo, and more. View the files down below. We'll get into those as we go along with Marvin's beautiful article here. The internal documents make it clear Disney wants to take away the very culture and storyline that made The Princess and the Frog stand out in the first place. Any voodoo elements are stripped away, and the Tiana Frog storyline is minimized. Any mention of fan-favorite attractions like Splash Mountain are outlawed, and new identity-focused talking points have been bolted on in their place. The leaks show that cast members are explicitly forbidden from using the words voodoo or hoodoo. Instead, they're told to call Dr. Facilier's powers parlor tricks, incantations, or spells. And this is, according to the leaks, done to avoid demonizing voodoo. In fact, if we look at these documents, and again, these are guidelines to assist the characters in performing those roles as, let's say, Tiana, Naveen, Dr. Facilier, and others. So these are the handouts that they give you in order so that you can take on that character in the parks and meet with guests. It says right here, this is for Dr. Facilier. Performer note, voodoo, a religion rooted in West African Dahomean? Is that right? Vondu?
Dahomean, I believe. Dahomean Vodun? I might have mispronounced that.
I'm trying, folks. I do apologize. Has been misconstrued to be the same as hoodoo, the practice of magic derived from voodoo. It is not a practice intended to hurt or control others and isn't the same elsewhere. See topics to avoid for more information. Do not discuss voodoo or hoodoo directly or refer to it in relation to Dr. Facilier's abilities. Instead, use the term spells, parlor tricks, incantations, and more. They even go on to talk about the friends on the other side and how you have to be very specific with your language when it comes to that as well. Guys, we'll dive more into it, obviously. But this confirms everything that we have either heard or have been reporting on to the fine viewers of that park place. Your thoughts on this particular story?
Well, I mean, look, we've been saying it for months. It was very obvious this was happening. They were erasing Dr. Facilier from, a lot of the experiences in the parks. We saw Tiana's Bayou Adventure. He wasn't even in there at all. They recharacterized Mama Odie as a Bayou fairy godmother. So, yeah, there's a lot of stupidity going on out there. There is a lot. They don't mind using Greek gods or Norse gods or any of this stuff. And those are also religions that to this day there are people who practice, but they don't care. It's no big deal to them. But voodoo is where we draw the line.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's crazy how they've recontextualized this entire film and major plot points and setups from it. I mean, they were going after, I say they, Naveen and Tiana as frogs, and we'll get into that in just a moment. They were attempting to get to Mama Odie in order to transform them back via the similar powers that transformed them as frogs in the first place, that being voodoo. She was, like you said, Marvin, she was the voodoo priestess or whatever, the voodoo queen of the bayou.
Voodoo queen of the swamp or the bayou or something like that. Now she's a bayou fairy godmother.
It's ridiculous. Culture. Come on. I mean, this is absolutely deplorable. They would take a attraction in the form of Splash Mountain based on Song of the South, an IP that they found themselves to be offensive and problematic, and replaced it with an IP that they themselves believe is problematic and needs to be changed or altered in order to, I don't know, fit their DEI principles. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's stunning. It's unsurprising, but stunning. They never should have changed the ride. We will all agree on that. Everybody in this audience understands they got rid of the best attraction that they had in the park, a dark ride and a thrill ride and a leisurely, tour of, an actual, I guess, Bayou. It was its own version of a swamp experience, and it was an effective one. And they instead took what they deemed a inappropriate IP, despite the fact that it had been operating without incident, other than the people who were pointing out its origins and the fact that now those origins they found problematic, despite the fact that nobody really had before. This was dumb. They've done nothing but take a step back across all of the parks where they are changing this or trying to force it to change, such as in Tokyo. But this is it's never going to be okay. And the problem is that we had to make this an attraction that was more ethnically diverse. We had to force that change, despite the fact that there were just little fuzzy creatures, that were in there before. It's like you took like a very inoffensive attraction, and you have to navigate around a lot of things that are offensive to people or that are objectionable to people, even more so than what you had there previously. I mean, you highlighted it perfectly.
Don't you understand that stories matter?
Yeah, I do. And this is a terrible story. I'm sorry. Just taking the best attraction, the number one attraction in your parks, Marvin, and converting it to the 33rd most popular movie of one year, may not have been the best plan. Because
I have said it repeatedly. The Princess and the Frog is not a very well-known or well-loved movie, but Tiana is far and away the most abundant princess in the parks. She has a ride. She has 2 gift shops in the Magic Kingdom. She has they sell her beignets at one of the quick service locations. She's got the character meet and greet. She's prominent in the Port Orleans Riverside Resort and Port Orleans French Quarter. There are entire rooms themed around her. She has a restaurant in Disneyland. No other Disney princess has this much stuff.
Correct. And this is very interesting, Marvin, because they wanted a Tiana attraction, but not based on Princess and the Frog for various reasons.
Frogs are offensive.
We have to get into a frog-free princess. Just as startling is the ban on discussing Tiana's time as a frog. Yes, the entire plot of The Princess and the Frog and why they went with a sequel-based attraction, the movie where audiences met her in the first place, is off limits. According to the leaked guidelines, quote, to many communities, it's disheartening to see a character of color, especially a title character, transformed with their faces and features obscured, hiding the diversity and authenticity of the character's journey. Facilier used Naveen's desire for green or money to turn him into a frog, and the magic used eventually transforms Tiana as well. And although Tiana came to enjoy her time in the Bayou and fell in love with Naveen while they were amphibians, she limits how much she discusses her time as a frog, preferring to focus on the life she shares with Naveen as humans. If a guest mentions the pair's time while transformed, Tiana may share a playful comment about her adventure as a frog before redirecting the conversation to focus on the Bayou, her friendship with Lewis, or Mama Odie's magic. Let's pause right here. Tiana's whole arc, the sacrifices she makes, the lessons she learns, and the love she finds, all happen during her time as a frog. That's the story. Imagine telling Ariel not to talk about being a mermaid, or Elsa not to mention her ice powers. Yet when it comes to Tiana, the frog storyline is suddenly off limits. That is crazy, but it is exactly what I heard when the development of this ride was going through the halls of WDI. They were like, okay, well, we want a Black Princess ride, but we don't want to incorporate any of the stories from where that Black Princess originated. And I was like, what? Why? Well, we have different thoughts that I suppose have changed over time since that movie came out. And it wasn't that long ago. When you're creating attractions like this, it's less of a ride and more of a lecture, I suppose. I think it's the fundamental reason why Tiana's Bayou Adventure was always doomed to fail, because they weren't going for the enjoyment of the guests. They weren't going for something that was entertaining, something that was an attraction. They were doing something that was completely antithetical to what an attraction is all about. Culture. Am I wrong here?
Oh, no, you're not wrong. Are you kidding? This is one of the most ridiculous things that we've been dealing with for, I think, I want to say 5 years since this was first a subject that was brought to our eyes. The idea that they were going to change the Splash Mountain attractions to this ridiculous garbage idea. And the fact that they have to steer clear of the original story that was, the claim of where, this wonderful new idea was coming from, all to get rid of the furry animals and their legacy, it is ridiculous. The fact that you can't reference the frog, what's the name of the movie, Dash?
It's Princess and the Frog.
Yeah. So this is why we know this was all neo-Marxism. This was all the postmodernism approach to redressing this attraction for the BLM activists at Disney. That's all this was, and it's frustrating because, like, why is it that this is something that they brush away, but when they do something heinous to something that may not appeal as broadly as Splash Mountain, but they do something heinous like retell Walt's story in Pirates. We're not getting that same kind of reaction. I'm still angry about Bring Out the Redhead. I'm never going to be not angry about that. I wasn't, look, as much as I like Pirates of the Caribbean films, we did not need Johnny Depp added back in there. We didn't need a non-functioning mermaid edition in Pirates. There's a lot of things that never needed to show up in this attraction that were forced in because they just wanted to bring IP in the parks. This is the glorious thing about the way Walt approached the parks. He wanted to put broader reaching concepts and ideas into the parks that you could build IPs off of, but weren't necessarily IPs. And nobody knows or cares anything about this co-op store garbage. The storyline here is garbage. It's the same thing that they tried to do to reinvent a backstory for Disney Springs. Every single time, Imagineers fall short because they overcomplicate their mission. And in this situation, you brought an amazing Bayou story of Brer Rabbit, that wasn't aimed at anything. It was a joyful celebration of life in this fictional world. It didn't have to even be tied to Song of the South, but, they said, well, that's problematic. You know how it's not problematic? Whoopi Goldberg said that film should be released in mass. People should be able to buy it because it was representative of that time.
Right.
So, it's and I know most people don't know that part of the story, but there are a lot of people that are just like, why are we not doing this?
Well, it's no surprise now when you read these Tiana files because they don't even like Tiana. They don't even like Princess and the Frog, like you said so eloquently before. It's Princess and the Frog, and yet we can't actually refer to her time as a frog. For everything that people loved about this film, being the amazing songs, especially those featuring Dr. Facilier, the references to voodoo, the use of voodoo. Naveen is a dynamic character, but also Tiana is a dynamic character, and they both learn from each other, right? All of those things have been washed away because of this crazy pursuit of doing something authentic, representative, diversity, equity, inclusion. All of those things were the overarching principles for this attraction, which is why nobody's attracted to it. It's
the lowest common denominator thinking, and that's what we can point at Disney. That's what they've been for a decade now. Not just in attractions, though. It's everywhere. Everything that Disney is doing is lowest common denominator, and they think their entire audience is stupid.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.